For 45 years, one question haunted rock fans. What really happened to the four men behind Good Times, Bad Times, and Whole Lotta Love? September 25, 1980, John Bonham was found dead. December 4th, Led Zeppelin officially ended. But that wasn't the end of their story. Tonight, you'll discover the untold journeys that emerged from tragedy. Page's near-death spiral and the $50 guitar that saved him. Plant's crushing guilt, and why he refuses every reunion. Jones's brilliant disappearing act, and Bonham's son carrying an impossible burden. By the end of this video, you'll know the real truth behind what happened after the music stopped.
I was shown what it means to be a man.
Led Zeppelin wasn't just a band. They were a force of nature. From 1968 to 1980, Jimmy Page's guitar, Robert Plant's voice, John Paul Jones' arrangements, and John Bonham's thunderous drums created songs that defined rock itself. But John Bonham's death from alcohol poisoning didn't just end Led Zeppelin. It scattered four men into completely different worlds. Three questions have haunted fans ever since. Could Page create music without Bonham's drums? The man who crafted Black Dog and Whole Lotta Love faced a terrible choice: honor the past or build a future. Why does Plant, even in 2025, refuse every reunion offer worth millions? The answer lies in a burden he's carried for over 4 decades. Where did John Paul Jones disappear to? While his bandmates struggled with fame, Jones made the smartest career move in rock history, and John Bonham's teenage son Jason faced pressure that would have broken most people. Could he honor his father's memory without being destroyed by it? What happened next changed everything we thought we knew about Led Zeppelin. The story begins with Page alone in his mansion, slowly disappearing from the world.
Back to school.
Jimmy Page had always been Led Zeppelin's architect. Every riff, every arrangement, every studio trick came from his need for perfection. But after Bonham's death, that same need for perfection became his prison. Page locked himself in his tower house mansion, surrounded by guitars he couldn't bear to play. Friends described visiting him in 1981 and finding a ghost physically there, but emotionally gone. The problem wasn't just grief. Page was hooked on something deeper than heroin. He was hooked on the sound of Led Zeppelin. Every time he picked up a guitar, he heard the ghost of Bonham's drums. The silence where the beats should be was crushing. By 1982, Keith Richards, not exactly known for staying sober, told friends he was worried about Page. When Keith Richards thinks you've gone too far, you know you're in trouble. But help came from an unexpected place. Walking past a London pawn shop in late 1983, Page spotted a beat-up acoustic guitar marked 30 bout of $50. Something about its damaged condition called to him. That guitar changed everything. Unlike his perfect Les Pauls and double necks, this instrument had scratches and dents. It couldn't recreate Led Zeppelin's complex sound because it was too simple, and that simplicity set him free. Page started writing again, not trying to be Led Zeppelin, but trying to be something new. Those songs became The Firm, his collaboration with Free's Paul Rodgers. The Firm's first album sold over 1 million copies worldwide. More importantly, it proved Page could create without Bonham's ghost haunting every note. The music was raw, immediate, imperfect, and alive in a way Page's playing hadn't been since. But here's what's really amazing. Today in 2025, Page is still creating. His latest project, the Sun Dragon Nymph Amplifier, brings stadium sound to small venues. At 81, he's still pushing boundaries, still moving forward. That 30-pound guitar taught him something important. Sometimes the best music comes from accepting what's broken. While Page learned to create again, Plant was dealing with a different kind of pain, one that would eat at him for decades. If Page was Led Zeppelin's architect, Robert Plant was its heart. But after September 25, 1980, that heart was carrying crushing weight. The guilt was simple, but terrible. Plant had introduced Bonham to Page back in his mind, he was the one who put John in the band that would eventually kill him. Plant's 1982 solo album Pictures at 11 wasn't just a career move, it was therapy. Every song was him talking to Bonham's memory. The title track about Pictures at 11, late-night news broadcasts, showed Plant's sleepless nights, haunted by what he'd lost. Then came the phone calls. Promoters offering $50 million for a single reunion show. Record labels promising anything for new Zeppelin material. Fans camping outside his home, begging for just one more concert. Plant said no to every single offer, not because he didn't need the money, not because he didn't love the fans, but because he couldn't face that empty drum kit, where Bonham should have been. In 1985, at Live Aid, Plant performed with Page and Jones. It should have been amazing. Instead, it proved his worst fears. The music felt hollow without Bonham. Plant told Rolling Stone afterward, "We proved that some things shouldn't be brought back." Plant's real healing started in 2007, not with Led Zeppelin's O2 Arena reunion, but with an unlikely partner. Bluegrass master Alison Krauss had reached out about working together. Their album Raising Sand won 5 Grammy Awards and completely changed Plant's approach to music. In American roots music, Plant found stories of loss that matched his own grief. These weren't rock anthems, they were quiet conversations about heartbreak and healing. Krauss later said, "Robert didn't just sing these songs, he lived them. Every note carried what he'd been through." In 2025, Plant continues this path with his band Saving Grace. Their new album features songs about forgiveness and starting over, themes that would have been impossible for him to explore in the night. When asked again about Zeppelin reunions, Plant's answer stays the same. To do it just to do it was never what Led Zeppelin were about. John's not here, that's the end of it. Plant's refusal to live in the past let him discover something beautiful in the present. Moving forward became his way of honoring what was lost. But while Plant and Page struggled with being rock stars, the smartest member of Led Zeppelin had already made a move that would surprise everyone.
With a word she can get what?
John Paul Jones was always Led Zeppelin's mystery man. The guy who could play bass like thunder and keyboards like silk. The arranger who turned Page's riffs into symphonies. After 1980, he didn't just step back from fame. He completely erased himself from it. It was the smartest career move any rock star has ever made. While Page battled addiction and Plant battled guilt, Jones was fighting something different, being stuck with the label rock bassist. He wanted complete musical freedom, and fame was keeping him trapped. Jones had always been classically trained. Before Zeppelin, he'd arranged strings for the Rolling Stones and Donovan. Rock stardom had put that talent in a box marked rhythm section. After Bonham's death, Jones broke out of that box. In 1985, while his former bandmates struggled with their identities, Jones quietly wrote his first piece for the London Symphony Orchestra. No press release, no big announcement, no rock star drama, just pure musical expression. The brilliance of Jones's plan became clear in the night. While Page and Plant were tied to their rock star images, Jones became the secret weapon behind dozens of film scores, classical pieces, and album arrangements. His musical skills made him valuable in every genre. Here's the crazy part. Jones made more money in the 1990s than Page and Plant combined. But more importantly, he found something his former bandmates had lost: creative satisfaction without compromise. When Jones finally returned to rock in 2009 with Them Crooked Vultures, featuring Dave Grohl and Josh Homme, it wasn't because he was desperate, it was because he chose to. He had already proven he could succeed in any musical world. Dave Grohl said about working with Jones, "He's not the bass player from Led Zeppelin, he's John Paul Jones, one of the greatest musicians alive. Those are two completely different things." Today, Jones continues his behind-the-scenes approach. His 2024 collaboration on the Playing for Change version of When the Levee Breaks brought Zeppelin's music to global artists, without Jones needing to be the star. In a rare 2023 interview, Jones explained his thinking. Led Zeppelin was four people creating something bigger than themselves. After John died, I decided to become something bigger than just the bass player from Led Zeppelin. By disappearing from rock stardom, Jones found musical immortality. He showed that real artistry doesn't always need the spotlight. But while Jones found freedom by staying invisible, one person could never escape the Led Zeppelin name and the weight of an impossible expectation. Imagine being born into a shadow so huge that every beat you play gets compared to a ghost. That's been Jason Bonham's reality since he could hold drumsticks. John Bonham wasn't just Led Zeppelin's drummer, he was the heartbeat of rock itself. His death didn't just end a band, it ended an era, and his 14-year-old son inherited expectations that felt impossible to meet. For years after his father's death, Jason refused to touch drums. The pressure was crushing before he'd even started. How do you follow the man who created the thunderous power behind Good Times, Bad Times, and Black Dog? By the late 1980s, Jason was quietly building his own career. Deliberately avoiding Led Zeppelin connection, he played with Virginia Woolf, Democracy, anyone except the band that made his father famous. Then came 2007. Page, Plant, and Jones approached Jason about the O2 Arena concert, their first performance together since Live Aid. 20,000 people. One night, the pressure of 27 years of silence. Jason almost said no. How do you fill the shoes of a man who never wore shoes on stage? He later said. How do you honor a legend without just becoming a copy? But something his father once told him changed his mind. John Bonham had said, "Don't try to be me. Be the best version of yourself." December 10, 2007. During Black Dog, Jason played a drum fill that his father never recorded. A spontaneous moment that made the performance uniquely his own. The audience didn't just clap, many cried. In that moment, Jason wasn't replacing his father, he was honoring him while being himself. Today, Jason tours with Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin Evening, not as a copy, but as his own interpretation. He's found a way to keep his father's spirit alive while creating his own musical identity. In 2025, Jason reflected, "I spent decades trying to be worthy of Dad's name. Then I realized he didn't want me to be him. He wanted me to be the drummer I was meant to become." Every night Jason performs, he carries drumsticks worn smooth by his father's hand. Not as pressure but as connection. The beat continues, but the rhythm is his own. Four men, four different paths, one eternal musical force. Page learned that creativity doesn't require perfection. Sometimes the best music comes from accepting what's broken. Plant discovered that honoring the past doesn't mean being trapped by it. Moving forward can be the greatest tribute. Jones proved that real talent doesn't always need the spotlight. Artistic freedom matters more than fame. Jason learned that carrying a name doesn't mean copying it. The greatest honor is becoming yourself. Led Zeppelin ended in night, but their individual journeys prove that some things are too powerful for death to silence. The music lives on, not just in the songs, but in the courage to keep creating. Which journey inspired you most? Comment below and subscribe for more untold stories from music's greatest icons.